Help! Help! My fries are naked! I need ketchup! We yell this now, right? But imagine yelling, help! Help! There's a tomato! It's going to get me! Sounds completely bonkers, doesn't it? Well, buckle up, culinary explorers, because we're diving into a time when that fear was very real. Tomatoes, my friends, those juicy red orbs we adore today, were once considered public enemy number one. They were high on the list of suspicious produce viewed with more terror than a soggy sandwich. It's a wild story, so grab a snack. Back in the 1700s and well into the early 1800s, most folks in America and Europe looked at a tomato with extreme caution. They wouldn't dream of eating it. Why all the fuss? Well, the tomato had some rather infamous relatives. It belongs to the nightshade family, you see. And that family includes some seriously scary characters like Deadly Nightshade, also known as belladonna. Not exactly the kind of family reunion you want your lunch to attend, is it? So the poor, innocent tomato got a bad reputation simply by association. It was judged by the company it kept, botanically speaking. And then there was the curious case of the killer plates. Oh yes, the plates. Wealthy people in those days often ate their meals off fancy pewter plates. Pewter, a popular material for tableware, frequently contained a significant amount of lead. Now, tomatoes are naturally quite acidic. Are you connecting the dots yet? The acid from the tomatoes would react with the pewter, leaching lead right into the food. People would eat the tomato, get terribly sick from lead poisoning, and then, who did they blame? The tomato, of course, not their expensive shiny plates, heavens no. The innocent fruit took all the heat, earning the sinister nickname poison apple. So for a very long time, tomatoes were primarily grown as ornamental plants. Pretty to look at, red and vibrant, but absolutely terrifying to many as a potential food source. Imagine them in gardens, admired for their beauty, but shunned from the kitchen, like a dangerous inedible rose, only rounder. Can you even picture a world without pizza sauce? Without the tang of salsa? Without a juicy slice on a BLT? It's a rather bleak culinary landscape, isn't it? All this fear and trepidation stemmed from a major misunderstanding and some very unfortunate dinnerware choices. But history, as we know, has a wonderfully funny way of changing its mind about things, especially when food is involved. Now into this tomato-fearing world steps a rather interesting character. A man with a plan. A man with, well, not exactly a legitimate medical degree, if we're being honest. Let me introduce you to Dr. John Cook Bennett. Yes, doctor. We'll use that term quite loosely here, perhaps with air quotes. He appeared on the scene in the 1830s, a time ripe for new ideas. And Dr. Bennett saw a golden opportunity in all this widespread tomato terror. Or rather, he saw a clever way to flip the script entirely. A very profitable script, he undoubtedly hoped. Dr. Bennett wasn't your average run-of-the-mill snake oil salesman. Oh no, he was far more specific. He was a tomato oil salesman. Or, to be more accurate, a tomato pill salesman. He boldly started telling everyone that tomatoes weren't poisonous at all. Surprise! In fact, according to the esteemed Dr. Bennett, they were nothing short of a miracle cure. Yes, you heard that correctly. This formerly feared fruit could, he claimed, cure just about anything that ailed you. Got diarrhea? Tomato pills? Suffering from cholera? Tomato pills? Feeling a bit under the weather? Generally peaky? You guessed it, tomato pills to the rescue. He was quite the marketing pioneer for his era. He proclaimed far and wide that these amazing pills, supposedly made from concentrated tomato, could fix all your health woes. He wrote persuasive articles for newspapers. He delivered enthusiastic speeches. He probably had a very convincing smile and a firm handshake. People were, quite understandably, a bit bewildered by this sudden turnaround. First, the tomato was a poison apple. Now it's a cure-all? Which one is it, folks? Dr. Bennett, however, was exceptionally persuasive. He even managed to get some prominent newspapers to publish his scientific findings. Never mind that his medical degree was, shall we say, creatively obtained. Or perhaps not genuinely obtained at all. Minor details. His revolutionary tomato pills were going to change the face of medicine forever. Or so the story went, according to him. He even concocted a rather fancy and official-sounding name for his product. Something along the lines of Dr. Bennett's celebrated tomato ketchup pills. Ketchup, you see, was already a general term for various savory sauces back then, not necessarily tomato-based. But he cleverly linked his pills to this familiar term, associating them with health and vitality. He wasn't just selling pills, he was selling hope. One little red tomato-based pill at a time. And in a world grappling with very real, very frightening diseases and a distinct lack of effective cures, hope sold remarkably well indeed. And can you believe it? People actually started to believe him. It's truly amazing what a healthy dose of confident bluster, combined with a receptive audience, can achieve. Folks were probably tired of being scared of tomatoes, those vibrant fruits growing in their gardens. Maybe, just maybe, this Dr. Bennett fellow was onto something truly revolutionary. The idea that this common garden plant, once widely feared and shunned, could actually be a health powerhouse? It was an exciting prospect. It was novel. It was, admittedly, a bit unbelievable. But hey, stranger things had certainly happened throughout history. Newspapers began printing recipes for tomato ketchup, not as a pill, but as a sauce, touting its supposed health benefits. Tomato pills quickly became all the rage. It was a genuine fad, a full-blown craze. Everyone, it seemed, wanted a piece of this miraculous new cure. Other enterprising individuals, witnessing Dr. Bennett's burgeoning success, eagerly jumped on the bandwagon. Suddenly, the market was flooded with copycat tomato pills. Each new brand promised even more amazing, more comprehensive cures than the last. It was a veritable tomato pill gold rush. Imagine walking into your local apothecary or general store, the shelves lined not just with familiar tonics, but with dozens of competing brands of amazing tomato extract, or patent tomato life pills. It was a wild, confusing, and very red time for the humble tomato, that's for absolute sure. But like all fads that are built on, shall we say, scientifically questionable foundations, the great tomato pill craze couldn't last forever. Eventually people started to notice something rather important. These magical pills, the ones that promised to cure everything from indigestion to influenza, they didn't actually cure cholera, or much of anything else serious for that matter. Shocking, I know. Real scientists, the ones with actual degrees and laboratories, began to investigate these claims more closely. They meticulously pointed out that Dr. Bennett's assertions were, to put it mildly, a tad exaggerated. The tomato pill bubble, inflated with so much hot air and hope, finally burst. Pop! Yet here's the truly funny and ironic twist in this tale. Even though the miracle pills turned out to be a complete bust, something incredibly important had changed in the public consciousness. Dr. Bennett, in his enthusiastic quest for pill-based profit, had unintentionally done the tomato a colossal favor. He had made people think about tomatoes in a completely different light. They were no longer just scary, potentially poisonous nightshades. They were possibly food. Good food even. Healthy food perhaps, even if not a miracle cure. The door to the kitchen had been cracked open. The tomato was poised and ready for its next, far more delicious act, transitioning from the dubious medicine cabinet to the welcoming dinner plate. So let's quickly recap this rather bizarre culinary caper. The tomato, that vibrant fruit we now slice, dice, and simmer with such abandon, was never truly the bad guy. Not really. The real villain, if you remember, those fancy lead-leaching pewter plates. Once people finally figured that crucial detail out, and once they stopped expecting tomatoes to cure baldness or reverse aging overnight, they could at last see the tomato for what it truly was. A perfectly delicious, wonderfully versatile, and entirely safe fruit. Or is it technically a vegetable? That, my friends, is a classic debate for another day, another show. The important point is it was edible and good. Slowly but surely, Americans and eventually Europeans too started eating tomatoes. Actually eating them, not just swallowing them in secret, ineffective little pills. They began incorporating them into stews, adding rich flavor and color. They cooked them down into hearty sauces for pasta and meats. They even, brace yourselves, ate them raw. Imagine the sheer bravery of that first public tomato consumer. There are tales of bold colonels in New Jersey publicly eating tomatoes on courthouse steps, just to prove to skeptical crowds that they weren't deadly. The fear gradually faded. The inherent deliciousness remained. The tomato had finally, officially, made it. It was no longer the dreaded poison apple, it was just a tomato. And that was a very good thing for our taste buds. And what about ketchup? That ubiquitous sauce that Dr. Bennett tried to package and sell as a medicinal marvel. Well, it turns out people genuinely liked the taste, even without the promise of miraculous cures. Tomato-based ketchups in various forms had been around for a while, but now they received a significant boost in popularity. Companies saw an opportunity and started manufacturing it on a larger scale. They refined the recipes, experimenting with different levels of sweetness and spice. They added sugar, vinegar, and a symphony of spices, transforming it from a dubious health tonic into the tangy, sweet, and utterly indispensable condiment we know and love today. It gracefully shed its medicinal skin and fully embraced its true destiny as a food enhancer, a champion of fries everywhere. So, the next time you reach for that familiar bottle and squirt a generous dollop of ketchup onto your burger or alongside your eggs, take just a moment. Think of poor, misunderstood tomatoes. Think of the ambitious Dr. John Cook Bennett and his rather silly, if historically significant, pills. Think of the Great Tomato Scare of the 1800s. It's a funny old world, isn't it? What was once feared as a deadly poison, then briefly hyped as a completely fake cure, is now a beloved staple, proudly residing in refrigerators across the land and indeed, around the globe. The journey of the tomato, and its most famous saucy offspring, is a delicious reminder that sometimes, history is stranger, funnier, and ultimately tastier than fiction. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think my fries are calling.